Riley Marcus knew her life was over the moment the jet door opened in Seoul. Not because her dad sold her to pay his gambling debt, though that was bad enough. Not because she'd spent the entire 14-hour flight crying until her eyes swelled shut, or because the private jet smelled like leather and money she'd never have. Her life was over because of the men waiting on the tarmac. Identical twins. Both over 6 feet tall, dressed in black suits that probably cost more than her childhood home. Same sharp jawline, same dark eyes that could cut through steel, same perfectly styled black hair. But everything else about them was different. One smiled when he saw her, a slow, warm smile that crinkled the corners of his eyes. He stepped forward first, extending his hand like a gentleman, like this was a business meeting and not a human transaction. "Riley Marcus," he said, his English perfect but accented. "I'm Seo Jun. Welcome to Seoul." The other one didn't move, didn't smile, just stared at her with an intensity that made her skin crawl and burn at the same time. His jaw was clenched so tight she could see the muscle jump. His hands were fists at his sides. When he finally spoke, his voice was cold enough to frost the summer air. "Ha-Jun, get in the car." Riley's legs wouldn't move. Behind her, the flight attendant was already disappearing back into the jet, the door sealed with a hydraulic hiss that sounded like a coffin closing. Seo Jun's smile softened with something that might have been pity. "Don't be afraid. You're safe with us." "Safe?" Riley's voice cracked. She was still wearing the same clothes from yesterday, jeans with a hole in the knee, her favorite Howard University sweatshirt that was 2 sizes too big, sneakers held together with duct tape. She hadn't even been allowed to pack, just grabbed from her campus apartment by 2 men who wouldn't explain anything except that her father's debt had come due. Ha-Jun's expression didn't change. "Your father made a deal. He took our money. Now you pay the price. That's how this works." Before we continue with Riley's impossible choice, if you're enjoying this story, show some love by hitting that like button and subscribing to Love and Tension for more intense romance stories like this. And comment below where you're watching from. I love seeing our global community. Now, back to Riley's story. "Ha-Jun." Seo Jun's voice carried a warning. He turned back to Riley, and his smile returned. "Your father borrowed 12 million won 3 years ago. He was supposed to invest it, make it grow, pay us back with interest. Instead, he gambled it all away, then borrowed more and more. His debt is now over 80 million won. Riley did the math in her head. Almost $60,000. Her stomach dropped. "I don't have that kind of money. I'm a student. I work 3 jobs just to pay rent." "We know," Seo Jun said gently. "We know everything about you, Riley. Howard University, junior year, double major in psychology and African American studies. You work at a coffee shop, tutor high school students, and deliver food on weekends. Your GPA is 3.8. You send money home to your little sister every month, even though you can barely afford food for yourself." The fact that he knew all that made her want to throw up. "We don't want your money," Ha-Jun said flatly. "We want you." The words hung in the humid air. Riley's heart hammered against her ribs. "Want me for what?" The twins looked at each other. Some wordless communication that identical twins were supposed to have. When they both looked back at her, they spoke at the same time. "You belong to both of us." Then Ha-Jun added, "Don't even try to run." That's when Riley realized the brothers weren't fighting over power or territory or money. They were about to fight over her. The car was a black Mercedes that probably cost more than her entire neighborhood. Riley sat in the back between the twins, close enough to smell Seo Jun's cologne, something expensive and woody, and feel the heat radiating off Ha-Jun's body, even though he was pressed against the opposite door like touching her might burn him. Seoul rushed past the tinted windows, neon signs in Hangul, crowds of people, buildings that stretched toward the sky. It should have been exciting. Riley had dreamed of traveling, of seeing the world beyond Southeast D.C., but all she felt was terror. "Where are you taking me?" Her voice was barely a whisper. "Home," Seo Jun said. our home. You'll have your own room, your own bathroom. Anything you need, just ask. I need to go back to D.C. I have finals in 2 weeks. My sister," her voice broke. "Maya is only 16. I'm all she has. Our dad is worthless, and our mom died when she was 8. If I don't send money, she doesn't eat. She doesn't—" "Your sister will be taken care of," Ha-Jun interrupted. Cold, matter of fact. "We already arranged for monthly payments to her guardian. She'll have more money than you ever sent." Her breath caught. "How much?" 500,000 won per month, Seo-Jun said. About $400 US. That was 3 times what Riley usually managed to scrape together. Maya could eat actual meals, could buy new shoes, could focus on school instead of worrying about the electricity bill. Why? Why would you do that? Ha-Jun finally looked at her. Up close, his eyes weren't just dark, they were nearly black, like staring into a void. "You have fire," he said quietly. "Good. You'll need it." Riley jerked away from Seo-Jun's grip, pressing herself against the car door. Her chest heaved. "What do you want from me? Just tell me. Is this some kind of sex trafficking thing? Because I'll fight. I'll fight every day until one of you kills me." "No one is going to touch you," Seo-Jun said firmly. "Not like that. Not unless you want—" He stopped himself, jaw tightening. "Unless I want what?" Riley's voice was shrill with panic. The twins looked at each other again, that same wordless communication. Then Ha-Jun said, 6 months ago, our father died. Heart attack. Left us in charge of the family business. The Bake Syndicate," Seo-Jun continued. "We control half of Seoul's underground economy. Gambling, protection, import, export operations. All technically illegal, all very profitable." Riley's stomach churned. "Mafia. I'd been sold to the Korean Mafia. When our father died," Ha-Jun said, "the other families started circling, testing us, seeing if we're weak, seeing if 2 28-year-old twins can really hold power. We need to prove we're united," Seo-Jun added, "that we're strong, that the Bake Syndicate is still the most powerful family in Seoul." "What does that have to do with me?" "Everything." Ha-Jun's voice was hard. "You're American, black, exotic enough to make a statement, but educated enough to handle our world. Plus, your father's debt gives us legal leverage." "Legal leverage?" Riley's voice rose. "You just said legality doesn't matter." "It doesn't," Ha-Jun said, "but paperwork does. Every business transaction needs paperwork, even the illegal ones. Your father signed you over to us in a contract that will hold up in any court that matters." The Mercedes turned through massive iron gates. A mansion rose ahead. White stone, huge windows, gardens that probably required a full-time staff. It looked like something from a Korean drama, except I'm pretty sure those don't usually feature human trafficking. "Welcome home," Seo-Jun said. Riley looked at him, then at Ha-Jun, and then at the mansion that would be her prison. And she started planning her escape. The mansion was even more intimidating inside than out. Marble floors, crystal chandeliers, artwork that belonged in museums. Riley counted at least 15 staff members in the first 5 minutes. Maids, cooks, security guards. All Korean. All watching her with expressions ranging from curiosity to contempt. "Your room," Seo-Jun said, opening a door on the 3rd floor. It wasn't a room. It was a suite. King-sized bed with silk sheets, a sitting area with a balcony overlooking the gardens, a bathroom the size of her entire DC apartment. Someone had already unpacked clothes for her. Expensive clothes she'd never seen before, all in her size. "How did you know?" Riley started. "We've been planning this for 3 months, Ha-Jun said from the doorway. He hadn't come in. "Since we decided your father's debt was due." "You've been watching me for 3 months?" The violation of it made Riley's skin crawl. "Watching, researching, making sure you were suitable." Seo-Jun moved to the balcony, opening the French doors. Humid air rushed in. "Dinner is at 7. Dress code is business casual. Don't be late. And if I am, then you'll miss dinner." Seo-jun said, mildly. But Ha-jun gets angry when his schedule is disrupted. You might not like him when he's angry. Riley looked at Ha-jun. He was already angry. She could see it in every rigid line of his body. I don't like him now. For the first time, Ha-jun's expression shifted. The corner of his mouth twitched. It wasn't quite a smile, but it was close. Good. Fear is boring. Hate is much more interesting. Then the both twins were gone, and Riley was alone in her gilded cage. She didn't cry. Crying was for later, in the dark, when no one could see. Instead, she explored the room methodically, looking for weaknesses. The windows didn't open wide enough to escape through. The door locked from the outside. Her new phone, expensive, Korean, already set up, couldn't access anything outside a walled garden of approved apps. No social media, no email, no way to contact Maya or anyone from her old life. She tried the balcony. 3 stories up. No ladder, no trellis, nothing to climb. Guards patrolling below. Even if she made it down, there was still the wall, the gate, the guards there too. Riley sank onto the bed. The silk sheets felt like a mockery. A knock at the door made her jump. Yes? A woman entered, probably mid-40s, with kind eyes and a maternal air. She carried a tray with tea and rice cakes. I'm Mrs. Choi, she said in accented English. Head housekeeper. I wanted to introduce myself and see if you need anything. I need to leave. Mrs. Choi's expression didn't change. I meant, do you need help with the shower controls or the closet organization? Please, Riley stood, moving towards her. Please, you have to help me. I was kidnapped. I didn't choose this. I have a little sister back home who needs me. If you could just... I've been working for the Beck family for 23 years, Mrs. Choi interrupted gently. Since the twins were 5 years old. I've seen many things. Some good, some terrible. But I've learned that fighting the inevitable only causes more pain. So you're just going to let them hold me prisoner? You're not a prisoner, Miss Marcus. You're family now. There's a difference. Family doesn't kidnap each other. Mrs. Choi set down the tray. The Beck family is complicated. The old master, Seo-jun and Ha-jun's father, he was a hard man, cruel sometimes. He raised his sons to be weapons, to never show weakness, to never trust anyone. Riley wrapped her arms around herself. Then why did they choose me? Someone weak enough to control? No, Mrs. Choi's voice was firm. They chose you because you're strong, because Seo-jun saw your grades, your work ethic, the way you take care of your sister, because Ha-jun saw how you fought the men who brought you to the jet. You gave one of them a black eye. Did you know that? Riley had a vague memory of punching someone. If they wanted someone strong, they should have asked me instead of buying me. Perhaps. Mrs. Choi moved toward the door. Dinner at 7, Miss Marcus. The blue dress in the closet would be appropriate. I'm not wearing their clothes. I'm not playing their game. Mrs. Choi paused. Seo-jun is patient, kind even. But Ha-jun was engaged once, 5 years ago. Beautiful woman, daughter of another syndicate family. They were supposed to unite the territories. But she tried to manipulate him, tried to play the brothers against each other. Ha-jun found out. Riley's mouth dried. What happened to her? Nothing violent, Mrs. Choi said quickly. But she was sent home in disgrace. Her family lost face. Last I heard, she was living in exile in Busan, unmarried and unmarriageable. Are you threatening me? I'm advising you. Be honest. Be direct. The twins might be many things, but they respect truth. Mrs. Choi opened the door. 7 o'clock, Miss Marcus. Don't make them wait. Riley wore her own jeans and Howard's sweatshirt to dinner. The dining room was enormous. A table that could seat 20, though only 3 places were set. Seo-jun and Ha-jun were already there, both changed into casual clothes. Seo-jun wore a gray sweater that made him look approachable. Ha-jun wore all black, like he was attending a funeral. They both stood when Riley entered. You didn't change, Ha-jun observed. I'm not a doll you can dress up. Seo-jun pulled out a chair for her. Understandable. You had a long flight and a stressful day. Perhaps tomorrow you'll feel more comfortable with the wardrobe we provided. I won't. Riley sat, keeping her spine rigid. I won't wear your clothes, or pretend to be happy, or play whatever twisted game this is. Then what will you do? Ha-Jun demanded. His dark eyes were intense, burning. Survive. Wait for an opportunity. Escape. Good luck with that, Ha-Jun said flatly. Seo-Jun signaled to the staff, and they brought out the first course. Soup that smelled incredible. Riley's stomach growled. She hadn't eaten since yesterday, and airplane food didn't count. It's miet cook, Seo-Jun said, noticing her interest. Seaweed soup. Very traditional. The kitchen can make American food if you prefer, but we thought, I'll eat it. Riley picked up her spoon. The soup was delicious. Rich, savory, comforting. She hated that it was delicious. They ate in silence for a while. Riley noticed the twins moved in sync sometimes, reaching for their water glasses at the same moment, sitting back in their chairs with the same posture. But other times they were completely different. Seo-Jun ate slowly, savoring each bite. Ha-Jun ate efficiently, like food was fuel and nothing more. Tell me about your sister, Seo-Jun said suddenly. Maya. What's she like? Riley's hand tightened on her spoon. Why do you care? Because you care. Because she's important to you, which means she's important to us now. Don't pretend you care about Maya. You used her as leverage to control me. Ha-Jun used her as leverage, Seo-Jun corrected gently. I would have preferred a different approach. Ha-Jun's jaw tightened. You wanted to seduce her, wine and dine her until she forgot her old life. That would have taken months we don't have. And your way is better? Terrifying her into submission? At least my way is honest. They were talking about Riley like she wasn't there. Something hot and sharp rose in her chest. Stop! Both of you, just stop! I'm right here. If you're going to argue about me, at least have the decency to include me in the conversation. Both twins looked at her. Seo-Jun looked apologetic. Ha-Jun looked impressed? You're right, Seo-Jun said. That was rude. I apologize. Ha-Jun didn't apologize, but he changed the subject. What were you studying at Howard? Really studying, I mean. What made you choose psychology and African American studies? Riley hesitated. Every instinct screamed to not share anything personal, not to give them ammunition, but Mrs. Choi's advice echoed in her head. Be honest, be direct. My mom, Riley said finally. Before she died, she used to tell me stories. About our family, about growing up in the South during segregation, about how she came to D.C. looking for a better life. She was brilliant. Could have been anything, but racism, poverty, bad choices, they wore her down. And you think kindness will work better. I think respect works better. Seo-Jun turned back to Riley. 7 days. Give us 7 days to show you we're not monsters. That's all I ask. Riley looked between them. Seo-Jun with his gentle eyes and his businessman's smile. Ha-Jun with his scowl and his brutal honesty. 7 days. What choice did she have? Fine, Riley said. 7 days. But I'm keeping count. Day 1 started with breakfast in her room. Mrs. Choi brought toast, eggs, fresh fruit, and American coffee that was somehow perfect. The twins have business meetings all day, she explained. But Mr. Seo-Jun wanted to make sure you had everything you needed. What I need is my freedom. 7 days, remember? Mrs. Choi's smile was knowing. Try to keep an open mind, Miss Marcus. After she left, Riley explored the mansion more thoroughly. The kitchen was huge, industrial grade, clearly designed for hosting large events. The library was stocked with books in Korean, English, Japanese, everything from classic literature to modern thrillers. The gym had equipment she didn't recognize but made her former campus recreation center look pathetic. And everywhere, staff members watched her. Not obviously, but she felt their eyes, reporting back to the twins, no doubt. By evening, Riley was going stir-crazy. She found herself in the kitchen around dinner time, watching the head chef, a stern woman named Chef Kim, prepare multiple dishes at once. Can I help? Riley asked in English. Chef Kim looked her up and down. You cook. I had to. Growing up, my dad couldn't keep a job and my mom was sick. I learned to make a lot with a little. Something in Chef Kim's expression shifted. She nodded towards a cutting board. Garlic. Mince it fine. Riley's hands remembered the rhythm. Rock the knife, scoop, chop, repeat. It felt good to do something familiar, something that didn't involve thinking about her situation. "What are you making?" Riley asked. "Kimchi jjigae, stew. The twins, they like it spicy. Both of them?" "Mr. Seo-John likes everything. Mr. Ha-John," Chef Kim's mouth tightened. "Mr. Ha-John barely tastes his food. He eats because he must, but he doesn't enjoy." Riley thought about that while she minced garlic. Ha-John, who seemed to approach everything with grim determination, who probably saw pleasure as a weakness. "Why?" Riley asked. Chef Kim was quiet for a long moment. Then, "The old master, he was very hard on Mr. Ha-John. Mr. Seo-John was the charming one, the one who could smile and negotiate. But Mr. Ha-John, he was the enforcer, the weapon. From age 12, he was trained to fight, to kill, if necessary. You don't learn to enjoy life when your childhood is spent learning how to end it." Riley's hands stilled. "He's killed people?" "Many people. Both twins have. It's part of running the syndicate. But Mr. Ha-John carries it differently. Mr. Seo-John sees killing as sometimes necessary. Mr. Ha-John sees it as what he was made for." That night, at dinner, Riley looked at Ha-John differently, saw the way he held his chopsticks like weapons, the way his eyes tracked everyone in the room, looking for threats, the way he sat with his back to the wall. "You're staring," Ha-John said, without looking up from his food. "Just thinking." "About what?" "About how someone becomes you." Ha-John's chopsticks paused halfway to his mouth. Then, slowly, he set them down. "Someone doesn't become me. Someone is made into me. There's a difference." Seo-John cleared his throat. "Let's talk about something else." "Why?" Riley challenged. "We've got 6 more days of this charade. Might as well get to know each other." "You don't want to know me," Ha-John said flatly. "Maybe I do. Maybe I want to understand why you are the way you are. I'm this way because my father decided I would be. Because someone had to be the monster so Seo-John could be the prince." Ha-John stood up abruptly. "Enjoy your dinner." He was gone before Riley could respond. Seo-John sighed. "I'm sorry. Ha-John, he's not good at talking about our father." "What happened to him? Your father, I mean." "Mrs. Choi said it was a heart attack. That's what the doctors called it." Seo-John's expression was carefully neutral. "But I think it was more like his body finally gave up carrying all that hate and violence." "Did you love him?" "Yes and no. And I feel guilty about both." Seo-John looked at Riley with something like desperation. "Is that okay? Is it okay to love someone who was terrible?" Riley thought about her own father, the man who read her bedtime stories when she was little, then gambled away her college fund, who promised to get clean, to be better, then sold her to settle her debts. "Yeah," Riley said quietly. "I think it has to be okay. Otherwise, what are we supposed to do with all those feelings?" Seo-John's smile was sad and grateful at once. "You're very wise for 21. 22 next month. Not that I'll be celebrating." "Why not?" "Because I'll be a prisoner in a foreign country pretending to be engaged to 2 men I don't know. Not exactly party material." "What if you weren't pretending?" Seo-John asked softly. "That's not going to happen." "Are you sure?" She wasn't sure. That was the terrifying part. 3 days in, and she was already starting to forget what her life in D.C. had felt like, already starting to find patterns here, helping Chef Kim in the kitchen, reading in the library, even the twice-daily dinners with the twins were becoming familiar. Comfortable. And comfort was the most dangerous trap of all. Day 4 brought a crisis. Riley woke to shouting, car doors slamming, the mansion erupting into activity. She threw on clothes and ran downstairs, to find Seo-John on the phone barking orders in rapid Korean. Ha-John was strapping on a shoulder holster, checking a gun with practiced efficiency. "What's happening?" Riley demanded. "Stay in your room," Ha-John ordered without looking at her. "Like hell!" Seo-John covered his phone. "Riley, please, this is syndicate business. It's dangerous." "More dangerous than being kidnapped and held hostage?" Ha-John finally looked at her. His expression was colder than she'd ever seen it. "Yes, much more dangerous. The Park family just bombed one of our warehouses. 3 of our men are dead. This is war now." The word hung in the air. War. "Let me help," Riley heard herself say. Both twins stared at her like she'd grown a second head. "Help how?" Seo-John asked slowly. "I don't know, but I grew up in Southeast D.C. I know what violence looks like. I know how to stay calm in a crisis. And I know you're about to leave me here with minimal security while you both run off to fight, which means I'm vulnerable to anyone who wants to use me against you." Ha-John's jaw tightened. "She's right. The Parks know about her by now. If they're willing to bomb a warehouse, they'll be willing to kidnap her for leverage. Then take me with you, Riley said. Absolutely not, Seojun said firmly. Then leave enough guards here to actually protect me. Riley crossed her arms. Or did you think only about how to trap me, not how to keep me safe? The twins looked at each other. That wordless communication again. Then Hajun said, she comes with us, but she stays in the car with Dae-jung. No arguments. Seojun looked like he wanted to argue, but nodded. Fine. Riley, go put on shoes. We leave in 3 minutes. The ride into Seoul proper was tense. Riley sat between the twins again, but this time she could feel their readiness for violence. Hajun's hand never left his gun. Seojun was on the phone constantly, coordinating with their people. They pulled up to a warehouse district. Smoke still rose from one building, and she could see fire damage even from the car. Bodies? No, not bodies, bloodstains. Someone had already cleaned up the dead. I'll be right back, Seojun said, already moving. Hajun started to follow, then paused, looked at Riley. If anyone approaches this car besides me or Seojun, you tell Dae-jung to drive. Don't wait, don't question, just go. Understood? Why are you telling me this? Because you're valuable. And because I don't want to find your body in a dumpster when this is over. It was the most honest thing Hajun had ever said to me. Understood. Hajun's hand moved before Riley registered what was happening. He cupped her face, thumb brushing her cheek. The touch was gentle, careful, completely at odds with everything else about him. Be smart, he said. Then he was gone, disappearing into the warehouse. Riley sat in stunned silence, her cheeks still warm from his touch. Dae-jung, the driver, met her eyes in the rearview mirror. Mr. Hae-jun doesn't touch people. Ever. Not since... He trailed off. Since what? Not my story to tell, Miss Marcus. They waited for 45 minutes. Riley counted each one, anxiety building in her chest. What if the Parks came? What if there was another bomb? What if the twins emerged together, both covered in blood that hopefully wasn't theirs? They got in the car and Dae-jung drove without being told. Is it over? Riley asked quietly. For now, Seojun said. He sounded exhausted. The Parks are handled. Riley didn't ask what handled meant. She could guess. Hajun's hand was shaking slightly. Riley saw it before he shoved both hands into his pockets. Adrenaline crash, probably. She'd seen it before in her neighborhood. After fights, after shootings, the aftermath when the body realized it was still alive. Without thinking, Riley reached over and took Hajun's hand out of his pocket and held it between both of hers. His fingers were cold despite the summer heat. Hajun stared at their joined hands like he didn't understand what they were. You're allowed to come down from it, Riley said softly. The fight or flight. You're allowed to let it go now. I don't know how. Then I'll hold on until you figure it out. They drove back to the mansion like that. Riley holding Hajun's hand, Seojun watching them both with an expression Riley couldn't quite read. Day 5 began with Hajun avoiding her. Riley woke to find a note slipped under her door, neat, precise handwriting that could only be Seojun's. Hajun had to leave early for damage control. Don't take it personally. He doesn't know how to process what happened yesterday. Neither do I, honestly. Breakfast in the garden at 9? Riley showered, then stared at the closet full of expensive clothes she'd been ignoring. The jeans and sweatshirt felt like armor, like holding on to who she was. But they were also getting dirty, and she was tired of feeling out of place. She chose a simple sundress, yellow with small flowers. Nothing too formal, but not her usual uniform either. Mrs. Choi's approving smile when she passed her in the hall felt like a small victory and a betrayal at once. Seojun was already in the garden, sitting at a wrought iron table laden with food. He stood when he saw her, and his eyes widened slightly. You look beautiful. Don't compliment you? Why not? It's true. Because compliments make this feel real. And if it feels real, I'll forget that I'm supposed to hate you. Are you supposed to hate me? Seojun poured her tea, green tea, the expensive kind that probably cost more per ounce than her rent. Because I'm not sure the rules are that clear anymore. Riley bit into the pastry. It was perfect, flaky, slightly sweet, with some kind of red bean filling. Of course it was perfect. Everything here was perfect, except the fundamental wrongness of the situation. Yesterday, Riley said carefully, when Hajun touched me in the car, why did your driver look so shocked? Because Hajun doesn't do that. Physical contact, I mean. Not since he was 17. What happened when he was 17? I told you our father was cruel. What I didn't tell you was that he had methods, training methods, for Hajun specifically. Seo-jun's hands tightened around his teacup. Father believed that to be an effective enforcer, Hajun needed to divorce himself from physical sensation, pleasure, pain. All of it had to become meaningless so he could focus purely on the job. Riley's stomach turned. What did he do? Torture, basically. Sensory deprivation, then overload. Beatings followed by forced medical treatment. Classical conditioning, associating touch with pain, intimacy with betrayal. Seo-jun's voice was barely above a whisper. I tried to stop it. I was the older twin by 7 minutes. I should have protected him. But father said if I interfered, he'd start training me the same way. And Hajun begged me not to fight it. Said at least if it was just him, I could stay human enough for both of us. Tears burned Riley's eyes. That's why he's so cold. It's not coldness, it's survival. Hajun learned to turn off everything soft because soft meant weak and weak meant more pain. Seo-jun finally looked at her. So, when he touched your face yesterday, when he held your hand, that was huge. That was Hajun choosing to feel something again, choosing to be vulnerable with you. Why me? He doesn't even like me, doesn't he? Seo-jun's smile was sad. Riley, Hajun watches you constantly. I've seen him linger outside the kitchen when you're helping Chef Kim. I've caught him reading the books you leave in the library, like he's trying to understand what you think about. Yesterday, when we thought the Parks might come for you, I've never seen him so terrified. Not even when our father... He stopped himself. Not even when your father what? Shot him. Hajun was 19. He made a mistake on a job, let someone escape who should have died. Father put a bullet in his shoulder for punishment. Hajun didn't even flinch. But yesterday, at the thought of you in danger, he was shaking. I can't process that. Don't want to process it. I'm not some magical healing force. I can't fix whatever your father broke. No one's asking you to fix him. But maybe... Seo-jun reached across the table and stopped just short of touching her hand. Maybe you could just let him feel something real, even if it's complicated, even if it scares him. It scares me too. I'm not supposed to care about either of you. You kidnapped me. This whole thing is wrong. I know. But I'm starting to forget that. I'm starting to wake up and think, what will Hajun say at breakfast? Or I should ask Seo-jun about that book. I'm starting to feel at home here, and that terrifies me more than anything else. Seo-jun touched her hand then, gentle, warm, completely different from Hajun's careful grip. You're allowed to want things, Seo-jun murmured into her hair. You're allowed to be confused. You're allowed to hate us and care about us at the same time. Humans are complicated. Emotions are messy. That's what makes us alive. Riley let herself cry into his chest. For her mother who died too young, for her father who failed them, for Maya, alone in D.C. with strangers' money, and for the girl she'd been a week ago, who had plans and dreams and a future that made sense, and the girl she was becoming, who was starting to see a different kind of future here. Hajun came home at midnight. Riley knew because she was still awake, reading in the library when she heard the front door open and close, heard his footsteps in the hall, measured, controlled, the walk of someone who'd spent the day doing terrible things and needed to pretend they were fine. You should be asleep, Hajun said without turning around. You should be less predictable. Riley moved closer. In the dim light, she could see bruises forming on his jaw, his knuckles torn. Are you hurt? Nothing that won't heal. That's not what I asked. Hajun finally looked at her. The Parks sent more men, Hajun said flatly. We sent them back in pieces, literally. That's the language they understand. Violence, escalation, proof of power. So we gave them proof. How many? How many what? How many men did you kill today? Hajun's jaw tightened. Does it matter? Yes. Why? Because I want to know if the number bothers you. If you counted, if you remember their faces, or if they all blur together. I want to know if you're human enough to feel something about it. Would you prefer I was a monster? Hajun's voice was dangerous. Would you prefer that this was easier? If I enjoyed it? If I didn't care? I'd prefer you were honest. Fine. 6 men. I killed 6 men today. Shot 4, stabbed 1 to death, and beat one to death with my bare hands because he tried to run, and I needed to make an example. The one I beat, he was young, maybe 22, had a tattoo of a woman's name on his wrist, his mother or girlfriend probably. He cried and begged and promised to tell us everything. I killed him anyway, because mercy is weakness in our world." Riley's breath caught. "Do you remember his face?" "I remember all their faces. Every single person I've ever killed. That's my curse. I don't get to forget. I don't get to pretend I'm just following orders or doing what's necessary. I have to own it. All of it." Hajun threw the towel down. "So yes, Riley, I'm human enough to feel something. I'm human enough that it's destroying me. Satisfied? No." Riley reached for his damaged hands. Hajun pulled away, but she was faster. She held his hands like she had in the car, careful of the torn skin. "I'm not satisfied, because you shouldn't have to carry that alone. I'm not alone. Seo-jun gets to be the good twin, the negotiator, the prince." Riley looked up at Hajun. "But who takes care of the monster?" Hajun's expression cracked, just for a second, but Riley saw it. The pain, the exhaustion, the desperate loneliness of someone who'd been trained to be a weapon instead of a person. "Why do you care?" Hajun whispered. "Because someone should. Because you touched my face yesterday and it was the gentlest thing anyone's done to me in months. Because you're carrying 6 new ghosts tonight and pretending you're fine when you're clearly not. I don't know how to be anything else." "Then learn. Start small." Riley brought his hands to her face, pressed his palms to her cheeks. His skin was cold and rough and trembling slightly. "Feel something that isn't pain. Remember what human touch is supposed to be like." Hajun made a sound, half laugh, half sob. "You're going to ruin me." "Good. You need ruining. This version of you is half dead already." For a long moment they stood like that, Hajun's hands cradling Riley's face, Riley's hands over his, holding him there. The kitchen was quiet, except for the hum of the refrigerator and their breathing. Then Hajun said, so quietly Riley almost missed it, "Stay." "What?" "After 7 days. When Seo-jun asks you to choose, stay." Hajun's thumbs brushed her cheekbones. "I know I have no right to ask. I know this is wrong, and you should run as far from us as possible. But stay anyway, please." Riley's heart hammered. "Why?" "Because you make me remember what it feels like to be human. Because when you held my hand yesterday, it was the first time in 11 years I didn't feel like a weapon. Because," his voice broke, "because I'm falling in love with you, and I don't know how to stop." The world tilted sideways. "You don't love me," Riley said desperately. "You don't even know me. I know you send money to your sister even when you can't afford food. I know you read poetry at midnight when you think no one's watching. I know you help Chef Kim because you hate feeling useless, not because you're trying to win favor. I know you wore that yellow dress today because Seo-jun mentioned once that yellow is his favorite color, and you wanted to make him smile even though you're supposed to hate us." Hajun's hands tightened slightly on her face. "I know you're terrified of caring about us because it feels like losing yourself. I know, because I feel the same way." "Hajun, you don't have to say anything. You don't have to feel the same way. I just need you to know that this isn't about the contract anymore. This isn't about stabilizing our power or showing unity to the other families. This is about you. Just you." Riley couldn't breathe, couldn't think, could only feel Hajun's hands on her face and the weight of his confession settling into her bones. Then footsteps in the doorway. "Am I interrupting?" Seo-jun's voice was carefully neutral. Hajun dropped his hands immediately, stepping back. "No, I was just..." Riley couldn't sleep. "I was going to make tea." "Hajun just told me he's falling in love with me," Riley said. She was done with secrets and half-truths. "I thought you should know." Seo-jun looked at his brother. "Did you?" Hajun's expression shuddered. "It doesn't matter. You saw her first. You're the one who found her profile, who planned this whole thing. I'm just..." "Stop." Seo-jun moved into the kitchen. "You're not just anything. You're my brother, my twin. We've shared everything our entire lives. Why would this be different? Because people aren't things you can share. I'm not a toy you can pass back and forth. No, you're not. Seojun looked at her with those gentle, dangerous eyes. You're a woman who's been dragged into an impossible situation. A woman who's handling it with more grace and strength than we had any right to expect. A woman who's making both of us feel things we didn't think we were capable of feeling. Both of you? Riley's head spun. Did you think yesterday in the garden was just friendly comfort? Seojun smiled sadly. Riley, I started falling for you the moment I read your essay on intergenerational trauma, the one you wrote for your psychology of oppression class. You were so fierce, so brilliant, so determined to understand the systems that break people so you could help fix them. I read that essay and thought, this woman could save the world if someone gave her the chance. So you decided to trap me instead? I decided to be selfish for once in my life. I'm always the responsible one, the planner, the one who thinks about consequences and legacy and what's best for the family. But when I saw you, I didn't want to think about any of that. I just wanted you here. Wanted to know what you'd say at breakfast, wanted to argue with you about books, and watch you teach Chef Kim about soul food, and hear you laugh at something ridiculous. I wanted you in a way that had nothing to do with business or strategy, and everything to do with this. He pressed his hand over his heart. So yes, I'm falling in love with you too. We both are. Riley looked between them. Ha-jun with his empty eyes and broken hands, Seojun with his gentle smile and hidden desperation, both of them waiting for her to say something, anything. This is insane, Riley whispered. Yes, they said together. I should hate you both. Yes, Seojun agreed. I should be planning my escape every second of every day. Probably, Ha-jun said. But instead, I'm standing here in the middle of the night thinking about how Ha-jun's hands felt on my face and how safe I felt in your arms this morning and how completely screwed I am because I'm falling too. I'm falling and I don't know how to stop and I'm terrified of what that means. Riley, Seojun reached for her. Ha-jun stayed back, giving her space, but Riley grabbed both their hands, pulled them closer, created a circle of 3. I'm not saying yes, Riley said firmly. I'm not agreeing to stay or be your wife or whatever this arrangement is supposed to be, but I'm not saying no either. I'm saying, let's see what happens in 2 more days. Let's finish your 7 days and then figure out what comes next. Together, all 3 of us. Okay? Okay, Seojun said. Ha-jun just squeezed her hand, but his eyes weren't empty anymore. They were full of something dangerous and beautiful and terrifying. Hope. Day 6 should have been peaceful. Should have been a continuation of whatever fragile thing they'd built in the kitchen at midnight. Instead, Riley woke to screaming. She ran into the hallway to find Mrs. Choi sobbing, other staff members gathering in shock. Seojun was on his phone, his face white. Ha-jun was already armed, already moving. What happened? Riley demanded. The Parks, Seojun said, voice hollow. They took Maya. Riley's knees gave out. Ha-jun caught her before she hit the floor. When? How? This morning, DC time. Seojun had a photo on his phone. Maya, beautiful, baby-faced Maya with a gun to her head. They're demanding we return their territory and pay reparations. If we don't, they'll kill her. Riley couldn't breathe. The walls were closing in. Oh God! Oh God, this is my fault. I should have stayed away. I should have. This is our fault, Ha-jun said fiercely. We brought you here. We made you visible. We painted a target on everyone you love. His jaw clenched, but we're going to fix it. How? She's in DC. We're in Seoul. They could kill her before we even get on a plane. We have people in DC. Associates, allies. I'm already making calls. That's not good enough. Riley grabbed his phone, looked at Maya's terrified face, her little sister, the girl Riley had practically raised, the girl who was supposed to be safe, supposed to be protected by the money the twins sent, money that had made her a target. I'm going, Riley said. Put me on a plane. I'll trade myself. That's what they really want, right? Me, the prize you claimed. Let Maya go and take me instead. Absolutely not, Ha-jun said.
You don't think I'm going to let you walk into the park's hands? They'll torture you for information, then kill you anyway. Ha-Jun's grip on her arms tightened. I just found you. I'm not losing you. And I'm not losing my sister. She's 16 years old. She's innocent. She has nothing to do with your mafia war.
No. Ha-Jun's voice was flat, final. Not happening. Why not? You said yourself this was always political. It stopped being political the moment I touched your face. Ha-Jun was shaking now. The moment you held my hands in this kitchen and made me feel human again. You're not a bargaining chip. His voice broke. You're mine. Ours. And I will burn down the entire Park family before I let them have you. Then Maya dies. The words hung in the air like poison. Seo-jun's phone rang. He answered, listened, his face going even paler. Understood. 24 hours. Yes. He hung up. They've given us a deadline. Tomorrow morning, Seoul time. Either we agree to their terms or they execute Maya live on video. Riley felt something inside her fracture. What are their terms? Return of Gangnam territory. 200 million won in reparations and... Seo-jun couldn't finish. And me, Riley completed. They want me, specifically. Both twins were silent. Then that's what they get. Riley's voice was steady now. Calm. She'd found that place inside herself, the place she'd lived when her mother was dying, when the bills were overdue, when Maya was hungry and Riley was stretching one can of soup into 2 meals, the place where emotion was a luxury and survival was all that mattered. Call them. Tell them yes, I'll go. Riley, Seo-jun started. My sister's life is not negotiable. I don't care what it costs me. Ha-Jun moved so fast Riley didn't see it coming. He grabbed her, pulled her against his chest, held her so tightly she could barely breathe. I'll destroy them, he whispered into her hair. I'll destroy anyone who tries to take you from us. I'll burn the world down if I have to. Then burn it. But save Maya first. They had a plan by dawn. It was a terrible plan. Risky, violent, with a dozen points where everything could go wrong. But it was a plan. The exchange happens at the old port, Seo-jun explained, pointing to a map. Neutral ground. The parks will bring Maya. We'll bring Riley and the money. And then? Riley asked. And then all hell breaks loose. Ha-Jun said with grim satisfaction. We have snipers positioned on every building. The moment Maya is clear, they take out park leadership. What about the people holding Maya? What if they kill her when your snipers start shooting? They won't have time. Ha-Jun's smile was terrifying. I'll be with Maya. I'm going in early, before the exchange. Stealth insertion, silent takedown of her guards. By the time the exchange starts, Maya will already be secured. And if something goes wrong, then I die making sure she doesn't. Riley looked at this man, this killer, this weapon, this person who'd been broken and remade into something dangerous, who'd held her face with trembling hands, who was offering to die for her sister without hesitation. Come back, Riley said. You hear me, Ha-Jun? You save Maya and you come back. Because we're not done yet. I haven't decided if I'm staying, and I can't decide if you're dead. Something flickered in Ha-Jun's eyes. Is that a reason to live? You making up your mind? It's the only reason that matters. Ha-Jun kissed her forehead. Quick, gentle, devastating. Then I'll come back. The port smelled like fish, and diesel, and fear. Riley stood between Seo-jun and 6 of his men, all armed, all wearing earpieces. In her pocket was a phone showing a live feed of Maya's location, a warehouse 200 yards away. The feed showed Maya tied to a chair, blindfolded, terrified, but alive. And somewhere in that warehouse, invisible on the feed, Ha-Jun was moving. They're coming, Seo-jun said quietly. 3 black SUVs pulled up. The doors opened, and Park Jae-sung emerged. 50-something. Expensive suit, smile like a shark. Back Seo-jin. And this must be the famous Riley Marcus. Where's my sister? Riley demanded. Safe, for now. Park gestured, and one of his men held up a phone showing the same feed Riley had. Maya in the warehouse, blindfolded, terrified, but alive. And somewhere in that warehouse, invisible on the feed, Ha-Jun was moving. What's happening? Park demanded, looking at his own phone. The feed went black. Gunfire erupted from the warehouse.
Park's men reached for their weapons. Seo-jun's men were faster, but Riley didn't see any of it because Seo-jun had already grabbed her, was pulling her toward cover behind a shipping container. "Stay down," he ordered. Bullets pinged off metal. Someone screamed. The air filled with gunpowder and smoke. Then Ha-jun's voice in Seo-jun's earpiece, loud enough for Riley to hear. "I've got her. Maya's secured. Heading to extraction point now." "Copy," Seo-jun said. He looked at Riley. "She's safe. Ha-jun's got her." Riley sagged against the shipping container. "Thank God. Thank God." The firefight lasted another 3 minutes. When it was over, Park Jae-sung was dead along with most of his men. Seo-jun's team had taken casualties too. 2 wounded, 1 dead. The cost of war. They found Ha-jun at the extraction point, a pier 2 blocks away. He had Maya wrapped in his jacket, holding her like she was made of glass. When he saw Riley, relief flooded his face. "Riley!" Maya's voice was hoarse from screaming. She ran to her sister, and they collided in a tangle of arms and tears. "You're okay. You're okay. You're safe now." Riley was crying, holding Maya's face, checking for injuries, bruised cheek, split lip, but alive. "I'm sorry," Maya sobbed. "I'm so sorry. I tried to fight them, but they had guns and—" "Shh. It's not your fault. None of this is your fault." Riley looked over Maya's shoulder at Ha-jun. He was covered in blood again. Other people's blood, from the looks of it. "Thank you. Thank you for saving her." Ha-jun nodded once. Then his eyes rolled back and he collapsed. "Ha-jun!" Riley lowered Maya into Seo-jun's arms and ran to him. That's when she saw it. The dark stain spreading across his side. Blood. His blood. "Oh God! Oh God, you're shot!" "Just a graze," Ha-jun mumbled. But his skin was pale, his breathing shallow. "Medical is 2 minutes out," one of Seo-jun's men said. Riley pressed her hands to Ha-jun's side, trying to stop the bleeding. "Don't you dare die on me. You hear me? I need you alive. We're not done yet. I haven't decided if I'm staying, and I can't decide if you're dead." "Bossy," Ha-jun whispered. "I like it. I'll be bossier if you don't stay conscious. I'll be the bossiest person you've ever met. I'll—" "Stay." Ha-jun's grip tightened. "Say you'll stay. Need to hear it. You're delirious from blood loss." "Riley, please, say it." She looked at this man. This killer. This weapon. This person who'd been broken and remade into something dangerous. Who'd held her face with trembling hands. Who was offering to die for her sister without hesitation. "I'll stay," Riley whispered. "I'm staying. For both of you. For all 3 of us. I'm staying." Ha-jun smiled. The first real smile he'd ever seen from him. It transformed his whole face. Made him look young and vulnerable and heartbreakingly human. "Good," he said. Then his eyes closed. Ha-jun woke up 36 hours later in the mansion's medical wing. Riley was asleep in the chair beside his bed, still wearing the blood-stained clothes from the port. Seo-jun was on the couch, laptop balanced on his knees, looking like he hadn't slept in days. "You look terrible," Ha-jun rasped. Both of them startled. Riley was at his side immediately, hands hovering over him like she was afraid to touch and make things worse. "You're awake. Oh, thank God you're awake. Told you it was just a graze. You needed 47 stitches and 2 blood transfusions. That's slightly more than a graze." Ha-jun tried to sit up, winced, fell back. "Maya? She's safe. On a plane back to D.C. with security detail and enough money to never worry again." Riley's voice was thick with emotion. "She wanted to stay, wanted to make sure you were okay, but we convinced her she'd be safer at home." "Good. That's good." Ha-jun looked at Riley. Really looked at her. "You said you'd stay." "I did. Did you mean it, or were you just trying to keep me alive?" Riley took his hand, the damaged one, the one he'd washed blood from in the kitchen. "I meant it. I'm staying, not because of the contract or the debt or because I have no other choice. I'm staying because Maya is safe now, and I could leave if I wanted to. I could go back to D.C., finish school, pretend none of this ever happened." She swallowed hard. "But I don't want to. I want to stay here, with both of you, even though it's complicated and messy, and I still don't fully understand what this relationship is supposed to be." "We don't understand either," Seo-jun admitted. He moved to the other side of the bed. "There's no rule book for this. No manual for how 3 people build a life together. So we make our own rules. We figure it out as we go.
We're honest with each other about what we need, what we want, what scares us. And we promise, all three of us, that if it stops working, if someone's unhappy, we deal with it. No more kidnapping, no more coercion. Just choice. Choice, Ha-jun repeated. His hand tightened on hers. I like that. Seo-jun smiled. Me too. They sat in silence for a moment. Then Ha-jun said, So what happens now? Now you heal, Riley said firmly, and I'd go back to school, remotely since Seoul National has a partnership with Howard, and we learn how to be together without crisis forcing us. And maybe, if we're still sure in a few months, we have that ceremony your family needs. No. Ha-jun's voice was surprisingly strong. Not a ceremony they need, a ceremony we want. All three of us choosing it, making it real. But your power base, the other families, can go to hell, Ha-jun said flatly. I spent my whole life doing what the family needed, what father demanded. I'm done with that. From now on, I do what I want. And what I want is you, both of you. The real thing, not political theater. Seo-jun looked stunned. Ha-jun, you've been saying for years that we need to do things differently than father, that fear and violence aren't sustainable. Ha-jun struggled to sit up again, and this time Riley helped him, adjusting his pillows. So let's actually do things differently. Let's build something real instead of just another power structure. He stopped, looked at Riley. Let's be happy. Is that allowed? Riley's eyes filled with tears. Yeah, I think that's allowed. 3 months later, Riley stood in the mansion's kitchen, flour in her hair, attempting to explain the concept of cornbread to Chef Kim, while Mrs. Choi translated. But why do you add sugar? Chef Kim demanded. It's bread. It's Southern tradition. Sweet cornbread is a thing in some places. My mom never used sugar. She said that was for Yankees who didn't know any better. Riley grinned. But I kind of like it sweet, so we're trying it. The kitchen door opened. Ha-jun entered, moving easier now, but still careful with his left side. The scar from the gunshot was still pink, still healing. He'd taken to touching it sometimes, a reminder that he survived, that he'd chosen to survive. He'd smelled like my childhood, he said in Korean, then repeated in English for Riley's benefit. She'd been learning, was already conversational, much to everyone's surprise. Your childhood smelled like cornbread? Riley asked skeptically. No, my childhood smelled like something burning while someone argued about whether it was ruined or salvageable. His mouth quirked. You and Chef Kim sound exactly like our old cook and our mother. It was the first time Ha-jun had mentioned his mother. Riley and Seo-jun had both learned not to push. Ha-jun shared things when he was ready, never before. What was she like? Riley asked carefully. Your mother. Ha-jun was quiet for a moment, then, kind, too kind for the family she married into. She died when we were 12, heart failure, officially, but I think she just gave up, couldn't survive in father's world. Riley wiped her hands on her apron, crossed to him, wrapped her arms around his waist from behind, careful of his injury. I'm sorry. Me too. Ha-jun covered her hands with his. She would have liked you, would have loved that you make Seo-jun laugh and make me feel things. You're getting better at the feeling things, Riley observed. Last week you told me you enjoyed the movie we watched. Use the word enjoyed and everything. Don't get used to it. I'm still emotionally constipated most of the time. Chef Kim snorted with laughter. Mrs. Choi covered her smile with her hand. The kitchen door opened again. Seo-jun entered with an armful of packages. Delivery day. Riley, your textbooks from Harvard came. Ha-jun, the gun magazines you insisted you needed. They're collectibles, Ha-jun protested. They're guns, in magazines. That's not collecting, that's hoarding. But Seo-jun was smiling. He set the packages down, moved to Riley, kissed her temple. How's the cornbread experiment? We're about to find out. Riley pulled the pan from the oven. The cornbread was golden, smelled perfect, and when she tested it with a toothpick, came out clean. Success! They ate it right there in the kitchen. All of them, staff included. It was too sweet for Chef Kim's taste, but Mrs. Choi loved it. Ha-jun ate 3 pieces without comment, which Riley had learned meant he liked it. Seo-jun ate 2 pieces while reading through a contract, multitasking as always. This was their life now.
mundane moments mixed with the underlying current of the syndicate's business. Riley had learned not to ask too many questions about where the twins went or what they did. She knew they were trying to move the family's operations more legitimate, shifting from protection rackets to actual security consulting, from gambling to legal entertainment venues. It would take years, maybe decades, but they were trying. And Riley was building something too. She'd enrolled in Seoul National's social work program, was already connecting with local NGOs that worked with trafficking victims and displaced families. Her professors at Harvard had been surprisingly supportive of her study abroad situation, even if they didn't know the full story. Maya video called twice a week. She'd enrolled in a good private school, had a therapist to work through the kidnapping trauma, was even making friends. The guilt of leaving her still gnawed at Riley sometimes. But Maya was insistent. "You saved my life. Now go live yours." So, Riley was trying. "Oh," Seo-jun said, looking up from his contract, "I forgot to mention. The Kim family sent a formal invitation. They want to meet you. All of us, together." Riley's stomach flipped. The Kim family was one of the big 3 syndicate families in Seoul. Meeting them officially meant stepping fully into the twins' world. "When?" Ha-jun asked. "Next week. Formal dinner at their estate." Seo-jun looked at Riley. "We can decline if you're not ready. There's no rush." "No." Riley squared her shoulders. "I'm ready. If we're really staying, if we're really doing this, then I need to meet your world. All of it. It's not going to be comfortable," Ha-jun warned. "They're going to ask invasive questions, test you, try to find weaknesses." "Let them try." Riley's voice was steady. "I survived Southeast DC, student debt, and your father's contract. I think I can handle some nosy rich people." Seo-jun laughed. "I love you." The words hung in the air. He'd said it before, in private, in quiet moments, but never so casually, like it was just a fact. Like loving Riley was as natural as breathing. Riley felt her cheeks heat. "I love you too." Ha-jun shifted uncomfortably. He still struggled with the words, with the vulnerability of saying them out loud, but he reached for Riley's hand and squeezed it twice. Their signal. "I feel the same, I just can't say it yet." Riley squeezed back 3 times. "I know. It's okay." The dinner with the Kim family was exactly as uncomfortable as Ha-jun had predicted. Riley wore a traditional hanbok that Mrs. Choi had helped her choose, deep blue silk with embroidered flowers. Her hair was styled elegantly, her makeup perfect. She looked the part of a syndicate wife, even if she didn't feel it. Kim Dae-jung was 70, sharp-eyed, and clearly used to being the most powerful person in any room. His wife was younger, elegant, with a smile that never reached her eyes. Their son, Kim Min-ho, was close to the twins' age and watched Riley with undisguised curiosity. "So," Dae-jung said over the first course, "the American, the black maid who captured both Biek sons?" "I'm a student," Riley said calmly. "Social work, and I've never worked as a maid, though I've worked plenty of service jobs. No shame in honest work." "Of course not." Dae-jung's smile was sharp. "I simply find it interesting. The Baek family, choosing someone so different?" Riley supplied. "Foreign? Black? Go ahead and say what you mean." "Riley," Seo-jun murmured. "No!" Riley kept her eyes on Dae-jung. "If we're going to do this, if I'm going to be part of this world, then everyone needs to understand something. I'm not here because I'm exotic or because the twins wanted to make a statement. I'm here because I choose to be. And yes, I'm different. My presence is going to make people uncomfortable, but that's their problem, not mine." Dae-jung studied her for a long moment. Then he laughed. A real laugh. Not the "because I'm old and I've seen a lot. I've seen what happens when powerful men keep their women locked away, protected but useless. And I've seen what happens when women are allowed to be partners, real partners." Dae-jung's expression was serious. "You could be very useful, Riley Marcus, not as a trophy or a symbol, but as a voice. The twins need someone who sees the world differently, who asks questions they're too conditioned to ask. Don't let them waste that." Riley thought about that on the drive home, about Dae-jung's words and what they meant. "What did he say to you?" Seo-jun asked. "That I should be more involved, in the business, in the family, that I shouldn't just be decorative." Ha-jun snorted. "You could never be just decorative, you're too opinionated. Is that a compliment?" "Yes." Riley smiled. Then, carefully, what if he's right? What if I could help? Not with the violent stuff, I'm not built for that, but with the legitimate businesses you're trying to build, with community outreach, with transitioning your operations. I'm studying social work. I understand systems and how to change them from the inside. The twins looked at each other, that wordless communication. It's dangerous, Seo-jun said finally. The more involved you are, the more of a target you become. I was already kidnapped and used as leverage. How much more of a target can I be? Fair point, Ha-jun's mouth quirked. And I like the idea of you being more involved. Means I get to see you more during the day instead of just at meals. We'd have to be careful, Seo-jun said, already planning. Start small, maybe with the youth outreach programs we've been discussing. Keep you away from anything that could attract police attention. I can work with that. Riley felt excitement building. I could develop programs for kids in high-risk neighborhoods. Prevention instead of just damage control. Partner with schools, with community centers, with legitimate funding that doesn't trace back to syndicate money, Seo-jun added. Set up a foundation. Make it look clean from the start. They spent the rest of the drive planning. Ideas flying back and forth, Riley's social work training combining with Seo-jun's business acumen and Ha-jun's street-level understanding of what kids in dangerous situations actually needed. By the time they got home, Riley felt like she'd found her place. Not just as the twins' partner, but as someone building something meaningful in this strange new world. 6 months later, the foundation office was small but functional. 3 rooms in a building in Hongdae, close to the universities, filled with young people and hope. Riley had hired a staff of 5, social workers, community organizers, people who understood both Korean and international approaches to youth intervention. The tutoring program is full, her assistant Ji-won reported. We have a waiting list of 40 kids, and the cooking classes, the ones teaching job skills, those are overbooked too. We'll need to expand, Riley said, already calculating. The foundation had money. Seo-jun had made sure of that, funneling legitimate business profits into an account that couldn't be traced back to the syndicate. Can we rent the space next door? Already in negotiation, Ji-won grinned. You're good at this, you know, building things. Riley felt a warm glow of pride. 6 months ago, she'd been a kidnapped college student with no future. Now she was running a foundation, helping kids, building something that mattered. Her phone buzzed. Ha-jun. Dinner at 7. Don't be late. Riley. You're not the boss of me. Ha-jun. Actually, I am. You work for our family's foundation. Riley. Semantics. See you at 7. She was still smiling when Seo-jun called an hour later. Have you seen the news? Riley's smile faded. Seo-jun's voice was too controlled. Something was wrong. No, what happened? Park Min-soo escaped custody. He was the last of the Park family leadership, the one we thought was neutralized. But he broke out of prison 3 hours ago. Riley's blood went cold. Does he know about me? About what I'm doing? If he didn't before, he does now. Your foundation just got written up in the Korea Herald, a glowing profile about the American woman working to help at-risk youth. Seo-jun's voice was tight. Riley, you need to come home now. We're increasing security until we locate him. I have a meeting with a school principal in an hour. Cancel it. Riley, I mean it. Min-soo blames us for his family's destruction. If he finds you, I'm not hiding. The words came out before Riley could think them through. I'm not going to stop building this because some vengeful asshole is on the loose. Isn't that exactly what he wants? To make us afraid? To make us stop? He wants revenge. He doesn't care how he gets it. Then let him try. Riley was surprised by her own vehemence. I have security. You've made sure of that. And I'm not going to let fear control my life. I've spent too long fighting for this, for all of this, to hide now. Seo-jun was quiet for a long moment. You sound like Ha-jun. Is that a compliment? I'm honestly not sure, but there was warmth in his voice. Fine, keep your meeting, but Dae-jun goes with you, and you check in every hour. Understood? Understood. I love you. I love you too. Be safe, Riley, please. Dae-jung, not Kim Dae-jung, but their head of security, who shared the name, was a former Special Forces soldier who'd been with the Beck family for 15 years. He drove Riley to the school meeting, waited outside the principal's office, and escorted her back to the car. They were 2 blocks from the office when the black van cut them off. Dae-jung reacted instantly, throwing the car into reverse, reaching for his weapon, but there were more vans behind them. They were boxed in. Get down! Daejong shouted. Riley dropped to the floor as the windows exploded inward. Gunfire, screaming, the smell of gunpowder. Daejong was shooting back, shouting into his radio in Korean too fast for Riley to follow. Then hands were grabbing her, dragging her from the car. Riley fought, knee to the groin, elbow to the face, every dirty fighting trick she'd learned growing up in Southeast D.C. But there were too many of them. Something hit her head. The world went dark. Riley woke to pain. Her head throbbed. Her wrists were bound behind her back, zip ties cutting into her skin. She was in a warehouse, abandoned by the smell, with broken windows and graffiti on the walls. And Park Min-soo stood in front of her. He was younger than she'd expected, maybe 35, handsome in a cold way, with eyes that held no light at all. "Riley Marcus," he said in perfect English, "the woman who destroyed my family." "I didn't destroy anything. Your family declared war on the Becks, because the Becks were taking everything." Min-soo crouched in front of me. "My father built an empire, and the Beck twins, those arrogant bastards, they decided our territory should be theirs. They bombed our warehouse, killed our men, and now my father is dead, my family is scattered, and I have nothing. So you're going to kill me? How does that help?" "It doesn't help, but it will hurt them." Min-soo's smile was terrifying. "You love you. Everyone knows it. The fearsome Beck twins brought low by an American girl. I'm going to take you apart piece by piece and send them the videos. Let them watch you suffer like I watched my family suffer." Riley's heart hammered. But she kept her voice steady. "You know they'll come for me. I'm counting on it. I have this place rigged with explosives. The moment they breach the perimeter, we all die together." Poetic, don't you think? "That's not poetic, that's psychotic." He hit her. Riley's head snapped to the side, blood filling her mouth. "You don't get to judge me. You're just a prop, a thing they acquired to show their power. I'm not a thing, I'm a person, and I chose them. That's what you people never understand. Love isn't about ownership, it's about choice." "Love," Min-soo laughed bitterly. "There's no love in our world, only power and the illusion of power. Then I feel sorry for you." He hit her again. Seo-jeon got the video 10 minutes after Riley was taken. It showed Riley tied to a chair, face bruised, but alive, and Min-soo's voice. "You have 2 hours. Come to the old Samsung warehouse in Bucheon. Come alone or she dies. Come armed and the building explodes. Your choice, Beck twins. What's more important, your pride or her life?" Hajan watched the video 3 times, his expression getting colder with each viewing. "He's going to kill her anyway." "Probably," Seo-jeon agreed. His hands were shaking, the first time Hajan had seen his brother truly lose composure in years. "But we have to try. Not alone, and not unarmed." Hajan was already moving, pulling up building schematics on his laptop. "The Samsung warehouse. I know it. 6 floors, multiple entry points. But if he's rigged it with explosives, he'll have them at the main access points. So we find another way in. The roof. There's a service access that probably isn't monitored. We drop in from above, silent entry, neutralize his men before he realizes we're there. That's suicide if we're wrong about the explosives. Then we die." Hajan looked at his brother. "But we die trying to save her. That's better than living knowing we let her go." Seo-jeon closed his eyes, nodded. "We need a team. Our best people." "No, just us." Hajan checked his weapons. 2 guns, 3 knives, zip ties, flashbangs. Min-soo said come alone, so we come alone.
Hajun, she's ours, young. The Korean term of respect, older brother, that Hajun rarely used. We brought her into this world. We promised to keep her safe. We failed. Now we fix it or we die trying. No middle ground. So Jun grabbed his own weapons. Then let's go bring her home. Riley had lost track of time. Min-seo had hit her twice more, then left her alone with 2 guards who didn't speak English. Or maybe they did and were just ignoring her attempts to talk. Her wrists were numb from the zip ties. Her face throbbed, but her mind was clear. She'd been in worse situations. Not physically. This was definitely the most dangerous position she'd ever been in. But emotionally, Riley had survived her mother's death. Her father's abandonment, raising Maya while working 3 jobs. She'd survived being kidnapped and taken to a foreign country. She'd survived falling in love with 2 complicated, dangerous men and building a life in a world that should have destroyed her. She'd survive this, too. The question was how. The warehouse was rigged with explosives. Min Seo hadn't been lying about that. Riley had seen the wires, the carefully placed charges. But explosives needed triggers, and triggers could be disrupted. If she could just get free. One of the guards' phones rang. He answered, listened, then both guards stood and moved toward the door. A distraction, something happening elsewhere in the warehouse. Riley didn't waste time thinking. She stood, difficult with bound hands, and threw herself backwards at the chair. It splintered under her weight. Not perfect, but the wood had cracked. She did it again and again until the chair back broke and her hands were free, still zip-tied together, but mobile. The guards were coming back. Riley grabbed a chair leg, heavy and solid, and waited. When the first guard came through the door, she swung for his knee. He went down with a scream. The second guard raised his weapon, but Riley was already moving. Ducked under his arm, drove the chair leg into his stomach, then brought it up into his chin. Both guards were down. Riley grabbed a gun from one of them, checked it like Ha-Jun had taught her during a bored afternoon when she had asked about his work. Loaded. Safety off. She ran. The warehouse was a maze, corridors and rooms and equipment she didn't recognize. Riley followed the exit signs, staying low, staying quiet. She could hear shouting somewhere above her. Gunfire. But she kept moving toward ground level, toward escape. She almost made it. Min Seo appeared in front of her, his own weapon raised. Going somewhere? Riley raised the gun she had taken. Her hands were shaking, but she kept it pointed at his chest. Let me go. So you can run back to your monsters? I don't think so. They're not monsters. You are. Because I want revenge? Because I won't forgive the people who destroyed everything I loved? Min Seo's expression was anguished now, not cold. Your precious back twins killed my father. Ha-Jun beat him to death in front of me. I was 15 years old. So tell me, Riley Marcus, who's the real monster? Riley's gun wavered. I didn't know. Of course you didn't, because they don't tell you everything, do they? They dress it up, make it sound justified. But at the end of the day, they're killers, both of them, and you love them anyway. Yes, I love them anyway, because people are more than the worst thing they've ever done, because we're all trying to survive in a world that's broken, because the explosion cut her off. Not the whole warehouse, just one section. Someone had triggered one of Min Seo's bombs. The floor shook, ceiling tiles rained down, and through the smoke and chaos, 2 figures emerged. So-Jun and Ha-Jun, weapons raised, moving like they'd choreographed this dance. Ha-Jun saw Riley first. Relief flooded his face, then horror as he registered Min Seo's gun. Don't, Riley shouted. Ha-Jun, don't shoot. The whole building is rigged. Min Seo laughed. Smart girl. Yes, the whole building. And my finger is on the trigger. The moment I die, we all die. So what's it going to be, Bak Ha-Jun? You going to kill me like you killed my father? Ha-Jun's weapon didn't waver, but his eyes, those void-like eyes, they were full of pain. I remember your father. I remember everything about that night. Good. Then you can die remembering it too. Ha-Jun, please, So-Jun said quietly. There has to be another way. There isn't. But Ha-Jun was looking at Riley now. I'm sorry. I'm sorry we brought you into this. I'm sorry your life got tangled up with ours. I'm sorry I fell in love with you. Don't. Riley's voice broke. Don't say goodbye. We're all getting out of here. How? Min Seo demanded. I hold all the power here. The moment any of you move, I press this button and we all become ghosts. Then I'll move instead. The new voice came from behind Min Seo. Kim Dae-jung, the old man, not the security chief, emerged from the shadows with his own weapon trained on Min Seo's head. You're not the only one who lost family to this war, boy. You're not the only one carrying ghosts, but you're young enough to choose differently, to end this cycle instead of perpetuating it. Why would I choose anything else? They killed my father,
And your father killed how many fathers before someone killed him? I knew your father. I did business with him. He was a brutal man who built his empire on suffering. Ha-Jun was a weapon aimed at him by another brutal man. This is what we do. We break our children and turn them into weapons and wonder why the violence never ends. Minseo's hand shook on the trigger. I can't just let it go. Yes, you can. You can choose to be the one who stops the cycle. Put down the trigger, walk away, start over somewhere else. I'll even fund it. New identity, new life, far from Seoul. All you have to do is let her go. Why would you help me? Because I'm tired. Da Jung's voice was heavy with decades of violence. I'm tired of attending funerals for young people who die for their father's pride. I'm tired of this girl, he nodded at Riley, being proof that something different is possible, only to watch her die because we can't let go of our hate. I'm tired of it all. The warehouse was silent, except for small fires crackling from the earlier explosion. Then slowly, Minseo lowered the detonator. I want to be far away. America, maybe. Somewhere no one knows my name. Done, Da Jung said. Minseo looked at Ha-Jun. I still hate you. I know. I hate myself most days too. But for what it's worth, I'm sorry about your father. I was following orders, but that's not an excuse. I'm sorry. It wasn't forgiveness. It wasn't healing, but it was honesty, and sometimes that was enough. Minseo walked past them all, disappearing into the shadows. They heard a door open and close, then silence. Riley's legs gave out. Ha-Jun caught her before she hit the ground, and then So-Jun was there too, and they were both holding her, checking her for injuries, murmuring in Korean and English. I've got you. You're safe. We've got you. I knew you'd come, Riley said through tears. I knew you wouldn't leave me. Never, Ha-Jun said fiercely. We'll never leave you. You're ours, and we're yours, and that's how it stays. So-Jun kissed her forehead. Let's go home. 1 year later. The ceremony was small, intimate. Not the grand syndicate wedding So-Jun could have arranged, but something real. They held it in the mansion's garden. The same garden where Riley had eaten breakfast with So-Jun that first week, where she'd started to see a different future. Mrs. Choi cried through the whole thing. Chef Kim had prepared a feast that mixed Korean and American Southern cuisine, bibimbap and fried chicken, kimchi and collard greens, traditional rice cakes and Riley's cornbread. Maya stood as Riley's witness, beautiful in her bridesmaid dress, proud and healthy and whole. She'd come to Seoul for the ceremony, would stay for 2 weeks, then head back to finish high school. But the distance between them felt different now. Not abandonment, just two people choosing their own paths. Kim Dae-jun officiated, because of course he did. The old man had taken a strange interest in their relationship, treating it like a social experiment he wanted to see succeed. Marriage is not about ownership, not about possession. It's about choosing every day to build something together. These three have already done the hard work. They've survived crisis, violence, fear. Now they get to do the beautiful work, building a life.
The reception lasted until midnight. Riley danced with both twins, with Maya, with Mrs. Choi. She ate too much, drank champagne, and felt light and happy and home. Later, in the massive bed they'd started sharing a few months ago, Riley lay between Seo-Jun and Ha-Jun and thought about the journey that had brought them here. Do you ever regret it? Ha-Jun asked quietly. Staying? Every day, Riley said honestly. Then, at his stricken expression, I regret that it started with kidnapping and force. I regret that my dad sold me. I regret that Maya got hurt. I regret a lot of things about how we began. But, Seo-Jun prompted, but I don't regret where we ended up. I don't regret falling in love with you. I don't regret building this life. I don't regret choosing you every single day. Even though we're broken? Ha-Jun's voice was small. We're all broken. That's the human condition. Riley turned to face him. But we're broken together. And somehow, that makes it bearable.
She felt Seo Jun's arms wrap around her from behind, felt Ha Jun's forehead rest against hers. This complicated, messy, beautiful thing they'd built. "I have a surprise," Seo Jun said. "I was going to wait, but I can't. The university partnership came through. You can start teaching next semester at Seoul National and through remote connection to Howard. Your own course on trauma and community intervention." Riley's breath caught. "Really? Really? Professor Riley Marcus Beck. Has a nice ring to it. We're not using your last name officially, but unofficially?" Seo Jun kissed her shoulder. "Your family. You get the name if you want it." "I want it." Riley hadn't expected to want it, but she did. Wanted to be tied to them officially, publicly. Wanted the world to know she'd chosen this. Riley Marcus Beck. "Yeah, I like that." Ha Jun's hand found hers in the darkness. Squeezed 3 times. Riley squeezed back 4 times. Their new code. "I love you more than words." Somewhere in the mansion, Mrs. Choi was probably already planning breakfast. Somewhere in D.C., Maya was sleeping safely. Somewhere in the city, the foundation was helping kids find better futures. And here, in this bed, 3 people who shouldn't have worked were building something impossible and real. Riley closed her eyes and let herself be held, let herself be loved, let herself, finally, fully be home. The contract that had brought her here was long since destroyed, but the choice to stay, that choice renewed every morning, that was forever. And forever, Riley was learning, could be beautiful if you built it with the right people. Even if those people were complicated, even if the beginning was wrong, even if the world didn't understand. Love wasn't about perfection. It was about choosing, every day, to build something worth keeping. And what they had, it was definitely worth keeping.